This lunar cycle begins at the exact same place that the current Mercury retrograde started, at 21 degrees in the sign of Virgo, which means that this new moon will bring us back to something that we've been carefully refining over the last 3 weeks while Mercury has been moving backward in the sky. Not only that, but the new moon in Mercury-ruled Virgo occurs not just 1 day prior to Mercury stationing to go direct, making this a major reset that will finally allow us to benefit from all of the rearranging we've been doing during this retrograde season. And this is the best part of it all. The new moon in Virgo is making an auspicious grand Earth trine with Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which brings huge, expansive, positive change very seamlessly into our lives, and Pluto in Capricorn, which ensures that the benefits of what's set in motion around the new moon extend far beyond surface level transformation. In this forecast, I'm going to be covering the astrology for the next 2 weeks during the entire waxing phase of the lunar cycle from September 14th through the 28th, all the way up until the full supermoon in the sign of Aries, which we're going to be covering in another video in just 2 weeks. So again, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that. But before we get into all of it, in case you're new to my channel or need a refresher because it has been a while, welcome back. I am back from my hiatus. I'm back with my regular videos and I'm so excited to be here. But for those who are new, my name is Heather Elin with astrologywithheather.com. I'm a professional astrologer and I teach astrology. I release new astrology forecasts and tutorials every single Saturday around 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an important astrology update or a new tutorial. And because I want to make sure that you can make the best use of my free content here on YouTube, I just want to remind you the way that I structure my videos is that I always begin with a 10 to 15 minute, sometimes a little bit more depending on how crazy the astrology is, general overview of the energy for the next 2 weeks. Don't skip this because this part of the video provides an important context for what we'll be covering in your forecast for your sign, and it's going to answer a lot of the questions that you guys end up asking me down in the comment section below. Speaking of which, when we do get into the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen for your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign to get a more holistic overview of the energy for the next 2 weeks ahead. Your rising sign will be the most predominant energy, your sun sign will be secondary, and your moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this energy will be more internalized and subjective. Finally, at the end of each video, I give a 2 to 3 minute sneak preview of what to expect for our next forecast, which will be for the full moon in the sign of Aries. So be sure to stick around until the end if you're interested in that. And so let's get back into the general forecast. And I really want to do a deep dive into this one because this is by far the most positive, most beautiful new moon energy that we're going to be experiencing in all of 2023. And so I'm very, very excited for this, at least in my opinion. It's one of the best ones. And so I'm going to pull up the chart for the new moon so you can see it over here on your screen. And so first and foremost, this is bringing in a massive reset and positive material transformation in the areas of your chart being impacted. And so we're going to cover that in our all signs forecast in just a few minutes. But basically what's going on here is this new moon is in the sign of Virgo. So this is where we're kind of getting something going or getting something back in motion that we've had to go back and review. We've had to go back and refine. There might have been some conflict or some confusion around something that occurred roughly 3 weeks ago around the time that Mercury actually stationed to go retrograde, because Mercury stationed to go retrograde at this 21 degree in the sign of Virgo. And it was in an opposition to Neptune. It was conjunct Mars. It was a little crazy. And so whatever came up for you around that time that, you realized maybe there was a mistake that you needed to adjust or make changes with, maybe you realized that there was some sort of conflict that was happening below the surface that came out finally around that time. And the end result was kind of stressful or confusing for you. Maybe there was a mistake or misinformation that came your way. Or it could just be that there's something that came up into your consciousness around that time and there was confusion around it or around a decision that you needed to make. Either way, you've had 3 weeks of going back in and reviewing, refining, redefining this area of your life. Again, we'll get more detailed in your forecast. And this new moon is bringing a massive, massive reset with whatever it is that you've been dealing with. So I love, love, love this. And because Mercury is stationing to go direct, and Mercury is the dispositor of this new moon energy, it's the ruler of this new moon, that says a lot about what's going on with this new moon energy. It shows us that this is an energy of forward momentum. However, we have to pause before we can lunge forward. We have to pause before we can jump right in and start reaping the benefits of this energy, because Mercury is paused. It's stationary in the sky. It's not really moving at the time of this new moon, and it's not going to really be moving, at least very quickly, for a few days. And so this is kind of like a time of pausing, reflecting, and really honing in on and refining and getting very specific about what we need to do moving forward. If we do that now, we can make dramatic, beautiful changes across many areas of our lives that will transform everything in a deep and powerful way. And so this is a great energy, you guys. It's beautiful, but don't rush. That's the first thing. Mercury not only is in opposition to, or not is not only stationary, but it's in opposition to Saturn when it's stationary. Saturn requires that we do things the right way, the slow way, the meticulous way, certainly not the fast way. And so it'll feel at the beginning like our minds are finally starting to get online, but they're slow. Our communication is finally starting to work itself out, but it's slow, right? And the mistakes that came up, the things that happened, the mishaps during the Mercury retrograde are getting resolved. And we're like, yes, now it's finally happening. It's time, but it's slow. We have to take our time, especially within the first few days of this lunar cycle as Mercury stations and starts moving direct and is in this opposition still with Saturn. And so it's not going to be like we just jump all in with something brand new and the reset happens all at once at the new moon. That's never the case anyway with a new moon. A new moon is a time to sit back, reflect, internalize, to seed your intentions in an energetic, emotional, and maybe even in a small physical way. But it's not the time to just jump in and do a thing. That's, when we get to the waxing crescent, that's when you do the thing that you seeded or initiated at the time of the new moon. And so that's part of what we're experiencing. That's part of what we're going to be dealing with here. But it's also a little bit more so just because of that Saturnian component, that Saturn opposition to the dispositor of the new moon, which is stationary. It's not moving. The other thing that I love about this is that it is a beautiful healing energy. So not only is this an energy with the grand trine with Jupiter and Uranus, which facilitates positive, expansive, freeing and liberating types of change. Not only is this a deeply transformative full moon or new moon on a very physical level because it's in this grand Earth trine and Pluto's involved. And not only is this about doing something really specific and really precise, like it's like you have to do one really specific thing and that's going to change everything. That's really what this gives me the feeling of. But it's in the sign of Virgo, you guys, and it's in Earth. It's an Earth trine. It's all the Earth signs. The Earth signs are very physical. Virgo is the sign of the healer. It's the sign of health. It's the sign that is most closely associated with nutrition and diet and exercise and health regimens and routines. I'm sure all of you watching this know at least one Virgo who is very health conscious and very into like supplements and herbs, and they're very careful about their diet, especially with food. Like Virgo is very careful. And so Virgo is a sign that is associated with physical, like actual physiological health. And with this new moon energy, this is actually a very powerful healing energy, a very powerful time for you to transform your health, not just on a physical level, although this could be the case and should be the case if it's applicable to you and if it's something you need. And everybody could use a little boost to do something a little bit better, right? This is about perfecting the way that you treat your body. This is about perfecting the way that you nourish yourself and nurture yourself physically. But this is also about perfecting the way that you nurture and nourish yourself psychologically and mentally and emotionally. And so it's not just looking at like our physical food diet, it's looking at our emotional diet, what we're consuming on a day-to-day basis with our interactions with the world. This is also a really great energy for getting rid of something toxic. So getting rid of a toxic habit, getting rid of something toxic for your health, or getting rid of some sort of toxic emotion or past experience that you've been holding on to. So this is a great energy for those who are seeking out healing, who want to work one-on-one with a therapist. It's almost as if there's like this psychological change that needs to occur. And then once that psychological change occurs and it's very specific, then the thing that you've been working on and wanting to reset and wanting to move forward with finally opens up. And you get to make this really big, really powerful, positive change. And these things are all connected in some way. And for a lot of you, that might have to do with your body, with your physical health. For others, it might have to do with money. For others, it might have to do with career. For others, it might have to do with like your actual like spiritual health and well-being. So we'll talk about that as we get into the forecast for all 12 signs. And so a couple more things here about this before we do get into that. So because this is in a trine with Jupiter and Uranus, which are forming their conjunction, this is already an active energy, by the way, you guys. So this is highlighting what's coming up for the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. This comes exact on April 20th of 2023, and we're going to cover this in depth in a future video. I'm aiming for probably October, November for that. So, again, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that. But this is all about freedom and expansion, especially when it comes to the material realm, when it comes to wealth, when it comes to possessions, when it comes to food, when it comes to things that are real, tangible, and physical, our creature comforts, right? And so this is about not wanting to abide by anybody else's rules. That is that Jupiter Uranus, but those rules are pertaining to things that are very physical, our health, our bodies, our food system, our economic system could be subject to a lot of change and in a lot of ways expansion around this time. I think that this is actually going to bring some stuff that's positive because it's Jupiter. And so, what you might be seeing on a global scale around the time that this starts coming exact next year is, and even you could start seeing it now, but like advancements in technology that enhance the food supply, and probably in a more positive way than what we're used to, because we've seen a lot of negative stuff around that where it's just become more toxic, and food is cheap, but it's pretty poisonous for a lot of people, right? You can do it that way, although food right now is not cheap. That's another thing. This is going to bring up stuff around inflation for sure. But I also could see this because it's Uranus. It's about freedom. It's about sovereignty. It's about liberation. It's about doing things in a way that's deemed eccentric or alternative or outside of the norm or nonconformist. I could see alternative breakaway systems that achieve kind of the same end of increasing and enhancing our food supply in a positive way, but probably in a healthier way too. So look for stuff like that. People keep asking me about cryptocurrencies and things like that. That's not my area of expertise at all, you guys. So I'm not going to make predictions about that more specifically, but I could see a lot going on in that realm around digital currencies and things like that with this energy. And so basically the reason that I'm giving you that kind of rundown is because keep an eye out, right? There's going to be murmurings around some of these things on the wider world stage around the time of the new moon. And that's going to let us know kind of what's coming up, especially into the start of 2024, which again, we will talk about in its own video because that needs to be its own video. The other thing that this is doing that's really, really important, you guys, is it's mitigating the ongoing Pluto square to the nodes. This is still super active through the end of the year. It's been active since July. And this is a really intense energy. It's bringing up a lot of intensity, a lot of karmic issues that are bubbling up to the surface that we have to deal with in a really powerful way. This is where we're just being thrown through the ringer, especially psychologically and emotionally, in order to kind of move into some sort of bigger, greater transformative state. And it's going to be different for each person how this is impacting us, but it's not an easy energy. And so you can see in this chart here that the lunar nodes are at 25 degrees in the signs of Aries and Libra. If you haven't already watched my video on the lunar nodes changing signs into Aries and Libra, definitely make sure you do that, because this is an impact that's going to be coming back up and being reactivated all the way through to I don't know the exact date, but it's 18 months. Math in my head right now while I'm trying to do this. And so, every time it gets triggered, you're going to want to understand what's going on there. But this is an interesting energy, and this is going to be especially powerful during the eclipse cycle. So in October, when we do our videos on the eclipses, I'm going to tell you all about this in greater detail. But basically, the reason that I'm saying this is that this intensity, this energy that's been so problematic and so difficult for so many people is being mitigated at the time of this new moon in a way that allows us to transform or change something that needs to be changed in order to lessen and lighten the blow. And so take advantage of this energy, transform in the way that you need to transform, and the eclipse season will treat you a little bit better. Finally, the last thing I want to make note of here is that on September 17th, so during this waxing phase of the lunar cycle, Venus in the sign of Leo, where it's been going back and forth in retrograde, it makes its final square to Jupiter in Aries after doing that on and off for weeks and weeks now. And this is the last time it's going to do this before it moves on. And these two benefic energies have been dancing with each other for a very long time. And this is a hyper indulgent energy. And in these two signs in particular, it can be very indulgent. These are two of the most indulgent signs of the zodiac, Leo and Taurus. And so putting the two most indulgent planetary energies, the two benefics, which can bring Jupiter excess and, Venus laziness. It's the most relaxed of all the planets. And we have this in the sign of Leo and the sign of Taurus. It kind of reminds me of like a king like lounging on a chase like lounge and then just being served food and like grapes are being dangled or something like that. That's what this energy reminds me of. So don't allow yourself to be that. If you need to, if that's what you need and that's like what you feel like you deserve or whatever, do it a little bit, indulge a little bit, but don't go to excess, because that's where you're going to become lazy and you're not going to take advantage of this beautiful opportunity to change something that you really desperately need to change in order to make sure you're getting ahead of things, because that karmic, really intense, really sometimes psychologically traumatic energy with that Pluto square to the nodes that's going to be so active in October, like you can get ahead of something with this. You can change something really powerfully and really beautifully in your life. But if you're just laying there on your lounge being fed grapes and like letting this pass you by, then you're not going to be able to do that. So make sure that you're not allowing your inclination or any inclination toward laziness and excess when it comes to material pleasures and shiny things derail you from putting in the work required to make use of all of the positive energy that's flowing in right now. And that's especially the case for those of you who have a lot of fixed sign energy. So Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. All right. And so we're going to get into the forecast for all 12 signs. But before we do, I just want to mention I have a free gift for you guys, and I'm super excited about it. I've been working on redoing and refining things behind the scenes during these last couple of months. So for those of you who are interested in learning about your own chart, I do have a free gift for you. So the astrological houses, you guys, are a topic that's probably been distorted by more misinformation and controversy than any other topic in astrology. This has made it difficult for new astrologers to truly understand the meanings of the 12 houses. There's a lot of confusion there. That's where I get a lot of feedback from my students when they come into my academy, like where they got stuck. And there's a reason for this. And so it makes it really difficult to piece the information together coherently and create interpretations and give meaningful, accurate astrology readings when you don't truly understand the houses, because that's an important layer. And so I would like to change this dynamic, which is why I'm unlocking our entire module on the 12 houses from the Cosmic Academy of Astrology for free for 10 days. This free module on the houses covers a lot, you guys. You're going to get the main lecture. You're going to get a whole bunch of bonus lectures. You're going to get one of our pre-recorded teaching assistant study group sessions from the academy. You're going to get a lot of downloadable PDF worksheets and resources that you can keep forever and go back to whenever you need to understand the houses better. You're going to go through and do our actual assignments, our homework assignments written. We have a written assignment and like a quiz that tests your retention. And the assignment is specifically designed to help you put together the energy of the planets, signs, and houses and start actively participating in the learning process to form your own interpretations. We walk you through that step by step. And so this free module is available for you down in the description below. It also serves as a preview, you guys, of the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. So you're going to have an opportunity to sneak a peek inside my most popular and comprehensive astrology course. And this is the place for astrologers just like you who are tired of sifting through piles of disconnected and disorganized information from YouTube and books only to be left frustrated and confused when you try to piece it all together to give a reading. If that sounds like you, then the Academy is the place you want to be, and this is going to be a good start where you can kind of see if it's a good fit for you. And so in the Academy, we offer a structured step-by-step approach to learning astrology that logically layers the information. And the best part is you won't be doing it alone. In addition to over 120 hours of pre-recorded lessons covering everything you need to read natal charts and make complex predictions with confidence, the Academy includes live study group sessions, Q&A calls, and an active and engaging student community where you can ask questions, get answers from expert astrologers, myself included, and connect with like-minded astrology lovers just like you to practice and grow together. Even if you're not ready to join us in the Academy, that's okay. You can still unlock 10-day access to our module on the astrological houses and benefit from all of the information and resources that we've provided free of charge. My gift for you. The link is down in the description below. All right, so now that I've given you my spiel, I'm sure some of you will complain about down in the comment section below, even though I'm giving you a free present. I'm going to get into the forecast for all 12 signs. All right, beginning, of course, with Aries. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this new moon energy is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of health, work, and daily routines. This is where you're going to be getting a big, massive reset. You might have been going back and forth with refining, reviewing, redefining something when it comes to your work or when it comes to your day-to-day life and the way that you show up in service of others, or when it comes to your health. You might have had some health stuff come up that you've had to kind of look at and work through and refine, and maybe there's been something really mysterious that you haven't been able to get to the bottom of. If that's the case, this new moon is going to bring you your answers. It's going to help to define what it is that you're dealing with and what it is that you need to do in order to move forward successfully. For a lot of you, this is going to be a really great time to set intentions around work, career, public status. This is a really great time for you to advance something in your career, to start a really important work-related project and to see it through to completion. And this project, especially if it's new for you, can really change things up when it comes to your finances in a positive way. And so positive financial change is on its way for you, Aries, and this could be a really great time to ascend to a position of power when it comes to your career, when it comes to your work. So maybe you could get a promotion. This would be a great lunar cycle for you to launch a business if that's something that's applicable to you. I would say actually step back from that. If you're going to be launching a business this year, this would be the only time to do it. It's not the best time in general in life because of the notes. So I shouldn't have phrased it that way. But yeah, this is a really great time. If there's something you need to launch with your business or with a business or something you need to change or rearrange with your career, now is the time to do it. Do not wait. Do not do it in October. Do it now. This is also a really important time for you to establish new health routines. And this would be a great time to look to somebody who's in a position of power and authority and leadership in the health and wellness world or industry for answers, right? So getting some sort of coach, getting someone on board who isn't diagnosing and treating you necessarily. I mean, that can be the case. If you need that, go to a doctor by all means and get diagnosed and treated. But I'm talking about looking to somebody who's an expert who can show you the way on kind of a grander scale, if that makes sense. This is a really great time, to get things back on track in that area. The only issue I could see is that if you're indulging too much in just things that are fun and play and pleasure and joy, that's going to suck some of your resources, but it's also going to distract you from this really beautiful career or health opportunity that's coming up. All right. And then for Taurus and Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this energy is happening in your 5th house, which is the house of fun. It's the house of creativity. It's the house of joy. It's the house of things that you do because you love to do them. And so if there's something that kind of has come back around for you during the Mercury retrograde cycle where, you've really loved to do something in the past and something got jumbled and finally you're able to like tap back into it to do it again. Maybe you used to be really into, I don't know, in this Virgo, it's probably something practical that you love to do with this Virgo energy. Whatever it is that's come back up for you, especially around the time of 3 weeks ago when Mercury stationed to go retrograde. This is a time where you can bring it back into the mix and it's going to really feel very liberating. It's like going to help you become more of who you are very expansively and very confidently and very joyously out in the world. And so I love this energy for that. This is also a really great energy for you to just start something that you really love to do. So if there's something that you've been thinking about diving deeper into an educational pursuit around because it's something that you love and that you're really passionate about and you feel really excited about, now's a time where you can definitely do that and you can do it a lot more freely and without all of the hiccups that might have happened if you tried to launch into that while Mercury was retrograde. This is also a really great time for anything that you want to initiate or start involving children. So if you have children and you want to enter them into a new program, you want to do something really exciting with them, this could be a really great time for that, or reestablishing your relationship with your children. So if there was some difficulty around communication or difficulty around your connection to your children, now's a time where you're gonna really understand big picture, what you need to do moving forward to resolve this, but also there's something very specific that needs to transform or change around your belief system in order to have that reverberate into your relationship with your children. This is a really great time, especially if you are a Taurus rising around 21 degrees. So if your rising sign is somewhere near 21 degrees, I would say anywhere from, let's say, 16 to 26 degrees. This could be a really powerful time for you when it comes to relationships, especially romantic partnerships. This is a really wonderful time to establish a sexual connection and relationship because this is in your 5th house. This could be a really great time for a fling or a love affair. But this could also be a really great time to establish that type of connection in a more long-term partnership, especially if you're already in partnership and you've been dealing with issues there, especially during this Mercury retrograde, which might have been the case. Now's a time where you can move forward and have a much better, more pleasant, more romantic experience with your partner. And so I love this for that as well. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Gemini, this energy is happening in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, property, and real estate. This is a really beautiful time where things are finally moving forward for you. Maybe there's been something that you've been wanting to refine or redefine when it comes to your actual place of living. So maybe you've been looking for a new home. Maybe you've been renovating or wanting to redecorate or change something involving your home or your dynamic within the home. Now's a time when that's going to come back online for you. You're going to really understand exactly what you need in order to make this dream a reality. If you're looking at purchasing a home and you've been having issues, now's the time to kind of reset and restart that process because you have this really beautiful new moon and it's in a trine with Pluto, which has been plagued by issues with the nodes in your 8th house, which has to do with other people's money financing for a home, like a mortgage. And so this would be the one little window. It doesn't completely negate the fact that there's difficulty there. But if you absolutely have to buy something right now, now would be that one window where you get that little like opening where it's going to go a little bit better, especially on the financing end, although it's not perfect. I'm not saying that it's perfect. The other thing too that's going on here is that if there's been miscommunications, difficulties, conflicts involving your family, now's a time where that can finally be brought back out into the open in a way that's going to be deeply transformative, deeply healing for all parties involved. So you can finally resolve what's going on and move forward in a much better way. So I love this energy for all of that. For Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancer, this energy is happening in your third house, which is the house of community. It's the house of your neighbors in your neighborhood. It's the house of like PTA meetings and things that go on in like your normal day-to-day environment. And so if you've been having issues maybe with like your what's that called when you have like one of those clubs that your house is in? I can't remember what that's called. They're terrible though, whatever they are. I'll think of it. But if you've had some conflict with your neighbors, if you've had some conflict with your homeowners association, if you've had some conflict involving your community or members of your community or some sort of club or organization that you're a part of within the community, now's a time where a lot of that's going to get resolved and you can finally reset, restart, and move forward. This is also an area where there could have been a lot of miscommunication because this is the third house, and the third house has to do with basic skills, like fundamental, rudimentary skill sets like reading, writing, and arithmetic. There could have been issues there, right? There could have been miscommunications. There could have been typos. There could have been, miscalculations. And so now is a time where you're going to see things much more clearly and you're going to be able to move forward in a positive way. But the main thing for this that I'm seeing is that this is going to open up the doors to really positive and really healing, transformative communication within relationships. And that's going to feel very liberating, very freeing, very expansive, really powerful, and really positive for you. And so your relationships, especially if they've been strained with this Plutonian energy, are going to be subject to positive transformation and positive change, especially if you have your rising sign in Cancer. Anywhere from, I would say 15 even, because that's where Jupiter is. So 15 to 30 degrees, you're going to have, this is one of the best times to engage in relationships. So connect with people, put yourself out there, go to that meeting, go to that club, talk to your neighbors, connect one-on-one with your partner, find a new partner, go out there and socialize, because really beautiful benefits and changes can come through socializing with others that you might not really be aware of or open to otherwise. And this is a great time for connecting and making new friends too. So all of that is beautiful for this lunar cycle for Cancer. I would say though, going back to Cancer, be careful. You're likely to overindulge in spending, and your friends might be the fuel for that. So that would be the one area of overindulgence that you might want to be careful about. Okay, and then for Leo and for Leo rising. So for Leos, this new moon energy is happening in your second house, which is the house of money and possessions. And so that's beautiful. There might have been some miscommunications, mishaps, difficulties around money, material possessions, bills even, where it's like, what the heck is this? Where did this come from? This is confusing. I can't get on the phone with the right person to clear this up. Now's the time where you can finally clear the air and get things moving in the right direction. But this is also on a bigger scale, a really powerful time for you to earn more money through making changes to your work, your career, your public reputation, what you're putting out there into the world. Even if you're not somebody who's working, this is a time where that is possible through connecting with the right person who has the right power, who has the right authority to grant you, whatever it is that you need on a material level. So if that's something that's applicable to you, now's the time to make it happen. This is a great time to hone in on a very precise thing that you need to do in terms of like a project or a daily habit or a daily routine with your work or in general that's going to open up things for you financially. So use this wisely, because this is where, if there's been especially a lot of issues for you there, a lot of confusion and miscommunication, this is where the roads are clear, your mind starts to clear up, things start to form, and then over the next couple of weeks, you start to move forward and gain momentum with your financial goals and with your career goals as well. I will say though, for Leos in particular, you're going to be the most prone to laziness and overindulgence because Venus is still in your sign. It's been there, going back and forth with Jupiter in particular, and it's super, super close during the first half, the waxing phase of this lunar cycle. And so just make sure that you're not like, the king on his throne, just like lounging around saying, I deserve this, just give it to me, because you're going to need to take some sort of action here. And if you do, it's going to be very powerful. Okay, so with Virgo and for Virgo rising. So this energy is happening in your sign, Virgo. So happy new moon energy. If this is your birthday, by the way, around the 14th of September, if this is your birthday, this is a really powerful year of really transformative new beginnings. It's not that everything manifests this year. It's a year where a lot of things are seeded and that manifest in a very powerful, really positive, very material way for you over the coming years, over the coming solar cycles, over the coming solar returns. And so I love this energy actually, because not only is this a new moon, but it is a powerful, beautiful new moon that's bringing positivity to you, to everything that you initiate throughout the entire year this year. And even if it's not your birthday, this is still a very powerful, very positive energy that's going to bring good fortune and really a lot of liberation and expansion and really powerful change throughout every area of life for everything that you want to initiate right now. You're super supported. So if you want to transform your identity, if you want to transform who you are out in the world and the way people see you, if you want to transform and feel more empowered and stronger, this would be a great one too. This is a great energy for physical healing and psychological healing. It's very regenerative because it's trining your ascendant sun or moon on a physical level, but it's also very regenerative on that emotional, spiritual, psychological level where you feel so empowered and you feel so like online right now. This is also a great time for you to initiate something involving higher education. So maybe you're going to enroll in the free demo of the Cosmic Academy of Astrology and you're like, yes, I want to learn. I want to do this. But this is a great time. If that's not what you're wanting to learn, that's fine too. This is a great time to learn anything and to embark on an educational journey or a journey very physically involving travel. So this is a great energy overall for Virgos. If you are I will say though, if you're an early degree Virgo, so anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, this is going to feel a little stickier at the beginning because you have Mercury stationing on your ascendant sun or moon opposing Saturn. So the momentum isn't going to pick up quite as fast for you. And it's not going to feel as liberating for, early degree Virgos as it is for end degree Virgos. So I will say that as well. Okay. For Libra and for Libra rising. So for Libra, this energy is happening in your 12th house. And so this is not a go out there and, new moons are not really like an externalized energy anyway, where you're out and about and doing things like out in the world. But this is going to be a very deeply internalized energy where you're going to be wanting to spend time in solitude. The best benefits are going to come through meditation, through dreams, through just rest and restoration. The 12th house is the house of rest. And at the time of this new moon, you're going to need much more rest. You're going to want to pull yourself out of the day-to-day grind, the day-to-day reality, and just reflect and take some time for yourself. This is a deeply restorative and regenerative new moon for you to heal psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. And so you want to take advantage of that and not be doing too much busyness. Mars in your sign is going to make you want to go out there and just be doing. But this is not the time for that, especially around the actual new moon. A few days after, you can go out there and be busy if you want. But this is really an important time for reflection. If you take that time out to reflect and restore, you can find that you'll heal through a lot of like ancestral or early childhood trauma, a lot of things that are going on at the root. And also, this is a very liberating energy for you financially and with joint finances, if that's something that you've been dealing with. If you have been, dealing with grief, if you've been dealing with a lot of fear, anything like that, like this is a time where you can actually get a lot of healing done. I would say, working with a practitioner of some kind, working with a therapist, or going on some sort of retreat would be wonderful for Libras right now. Or just resting, just sleep more. If you just sleep more, that'll do the trick. All right. And then for Scorpio rising, this new moon is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, group associations, social networks, and people that you surround yourself with by choice. It's the people that you're around because you love to be around them. And so there could have been some miscommunications, some conflicts, some disagreement, some diciness around your social interactions, around your connections with other people that occurred during this Mercury retrograde, especially at the onset, there could have been some confusion around something involving a group dynamic of some kind. Whatever it was that was coming up for you and whatever you've been reflecting on and redoing and going back and forth with over and over again, now's the time where it gets cleared up. The air is clear and you're going to be able to have much more positive, much more powerful, much deeper connections with your friends as a result. And so this is a really beautiful time to initiate something involving a group of people, involving friendship. This would be a really powerful, lunar cycle, especially the first half, for making new friends and connecting with new people. Really powerful benefits can come to you through doing that, through just getting out there and socializing that you might not even be fully aware of in the moment. This is where you're going to have really deep, really intimate communication with other people, really deep, really intimate connections. And also your connections with others can feel really freeing and really liberating. This would also be a really great time, I think, to go on some sort of trip, like with someone or with a group of people. That would be a really great thing that you could do right now as well. I will say that being lazy when it comes to your career and being like kind of overindulgent in that area can bring problems right now. Or kind of like relying on somebody else to do the work for you, that's going to cause some issues as well. And so in your career, don't like slack off too much. Yes, this is a social time. Go out and, have fun with your friends. But like there's something going on here where if you leave it to someone else and kind of so you can indulge and kick back, like you're going to pay the price for that later. All right. And then for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, this is happening in your 10th house, which is the house of career and public reputation. And so I love this energy for Sagittarius for starting something new involving your career, involving your public reputation. Maybe you want to go out and give a talk or a speech. Maybe you want to start a new career. Maybe you want to get a raise of some kind or a promotion. Whatever it is that you're looking to do to expand when it comes to your career, when it comes to big picture, what you're doing out in the world, now's the time to do it. And even if you're not somebody who's working, this has to do with the legacy that you leave behind after your working years. This has to do with your public big picture reputation, where if there's something that needs to change here, now's the time to change it. This could also be, you've been dealing with maybe mishaps or miscommunications involving your work or your career. And now's the time where things become crystal clear. And as a result of refining and redefining what you're doing there with your work, you're going to really be able to transform your wealth and your earning potential, and also your day-to-day reality with your job. You've been bored with the day-to-day mundane for a while now. And now is a time where you finally get to expand out of that. And it's a result of whatever it is that you're initiating right now. And it's going to really take hold at the start of 2024. So you want to make really good use of this energy and focus on big picture, like your big long-term goals and plans when it comes to the way you impact the world at large. And you really can't go wrong with this one. Even when it comes to like indulgences, these aren't going to be so bad. So you might want to like take a trip and take a little vacation or something like that. That could throw you a little off kilter, but it probably won't, because it's going to be with Venus trining your ascendant sun or moon. So I wouldn't worry too much about that for Sagittarius. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, this new moon is happening in your 9th house, which is the house of travel, adventure. It's the house of expanding your mind through educational pursuits, through higher education, through learning something new. This is also where you've been kind of refining or redefining your perspective or your worldview on something, because the 9th house is the house of your belief systems. It's your beliefs about God, the universe, the world around you. It's religion, but it's also philosophy. And so your philosophies have been rearranging or changing, or maybe you've been bringing back in an old belief system or an old philosophy that you threw out and you realize that was actually serving a purpose. Whatever it is that you've been kind of rethinking when it comes to the way that you view the world from that bigger picture perspective, that's going to start to serve you in a really big way moving forward after the time of this new moon. This new moon is a really great time for you to embark on an adventure or to initiate an adventure. So maybe don't go on the adventure at the new moon. You could. I think that'd probably be fine, actually. But like maybe wait, like it could be like you are setting things in motion, setting the intention for a big, massive travel adventure opportunity, a pilgrimage of some kind. Now would be the time where you could do that and where this is going to be so transformative for you. This is a really great time for you to start a new educational pursuit with something that you truly love and that you're so passionate and so lit up and so excited about. This would be one of the best times of the entire year for you to set that in motion. And so thinking about what you want to do there. And in general, this is a very healing energy. So especially if you are a Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising at the end degrees of Capricorn, 25 to 30 degrees, you've been through the ringer the past few months with Pluto sitting on your ascendant, sun, or moon and the nodes squaring it. Like that is a lot of psychological, emotional, and even physical intensity. There might have been a lot of changes and upheaval going on when it comes to your career, when it comes to your public reputation and the way people see you, and when it comes to your home, your family life, your living situation. And it's been causing you maybe even to like have to change who you are or go through some sort of identity crisis. And this new moon is giving you a little bit of a reprieve where you're able to take yourself out of that and see the big picture and kind of reset and reconvene. So that way, when we move forward at the time of the eclipses in October, you're going to be much better off for it and much better prepared as a result of this. And then for Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, this energy is happening in your eighth house, which is the house of death, rebirth, transformation. It's the house of, healing from the deepest core level, which is part of what this new moon is all about with that grand trine involving Pluto. And it's in your 12th house. And so if you are somebody who has unsavory habits, if you're somebody who has addictions, compulsions, if you're somebody who obsesses over things, now's a time where you could liberate yourself from those addictions, compulsions, obsessions, bad habits, much more easily. So you can live a much healthier life mentally and physically. So if that's something that's applicable to you, now is the time to do it. And your family is who to look to help you change and support yourself through this process. This is also a really beautiful energy for starting something or setting intentions to start something involving your finances. So Mercury has been retrograding in your 8th house. There might have been some difficulty, some miscommunication, some weirdness around joint finances, around debt, taxes, other people's money, inheritance, insurance, whatever. Weird bills coming up and it's like, where did this debt come from? This isn't right. Or I forgot about this. Oh crap, I have to pay it, and like now's a time where that's going to be cleared up and you're going to be able to know exactly how to fix this moving forward and you'll be able to fix it. This is a much more introspective new moon for you. So this is the time to kind of take a step back and just rest, spend time at home, rearrange your house, redecorate. That would be a great thing to do with this too. And just get your ducks in a row financially. So it's a powerful healing moon to get your ducks in a row in that level, but also to rearrange and change things when it comes to like money that's being held over your head that leaves you feeling powerless. So typically debt, taxes, things like that. The area of indulgence might be like in relationships. I wouldn't be too worried about that. There could be a change coming up in relationships this week, or like the finalization of a change that's been ongoing in your partnerships, where something kind of is expanded on, especially family relationships. But other than that, I wouldn't worry too much about what Venus and Jupiter are doing. Okay. And then for Pisces and for Pisces rising. So for Pisces, this new moon is happening in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships, especially one-on-one partnerships. It's love, it's romance, it's marriage, it's, it's also agreements and negotiations and contracts and things like that too. It's close friendships. It's anyone that you're super close with. And so this new moon is going to give you a reset in that area. If there's been miscommunication, disputes, conflict, confusion, all sorts of weirdness around communication and relationships, now's the time where things get very crystal clear and you know exactly what's going on and what you need to do to clear the air moving forward. And I love, love, love this. This is one of the best new moons for setting intentions around relationships. So if you want to draw in a new partnership that has a lot of excitement and freedom and deep intimacy and close connection and good communication, hopefully, now would be the time where you can set that intention, right? even in your current partnerships, if that's an issue. If there's been something going on involving like a contract or an agreement or a negotiation or a renegotiation that you've been back and forth with, and it's been a lot of trouble and just a huge pain in the butt, now's a time where you're going to get clarity, and all of that's going to start to really clear up and be hashed out over the next week, especially after this new moon, where you're going to get something that's really mutually beneficial for all parties concerned as a result of setting your intentions and focusing on it at this new moon. The area of indulgence for you is actually in the 6th house. Don't overdo it when it comes, or don't become too lazy actually in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day habits. Don't neglect your health and your daily routines, because that's where you're going to kind of be a little soft and a little lackadaisical right now. And maybe giving a little too much leniency to coworkers or employees. That could be part of it too. And that could come back to bite you. But other than that, this is a great energy. So I wouldn't worry too much about any of that. Pisces, you're going to have a good time. I would say Pisces, end degree Pisces are going to love this energy way more. So anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees, you're going to have all of those relationship benefits coming in the mix. Really exciting communication coming in through other people, really deep connection. Wonderful. If you are a 0 to 10 degree Pisces, you're going to be feeling like things are not coming online very quickly, and you're still having a lot of difficulty in communication with other people. Your brain is going to feel sluggish. Your communication is going to feel off until the end of this first week of the lunar cycle, when Mercury starts to finally move, but also move away from Saturn. And that is my forecast for all 12 signs. And so thank you guys so much for watching that. And so I would just want to give you a little sneak preview of what's coming up for the full supermoon in Aries. And so this video is going to be released in 2 weeks on September 23rd. So again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, now that we've gone through the video, comment below and let me know how this new moon energy is treating you and how you've been overall over the last couple of months, because I've missed you guys and I'm so excited to be back. But the full supermoon in Aries, it's going to occur this month just before Mercury leaves its retrograde shadow. So this is going to highlight one final thing that we need to rectify in order to move forward with our plans around the time of this new moon. It's not necessarily our full moon. It's not necessarily connected to the supermoon, but it's happening in tandem with the supermoon, if that makes sense. So it'll be happening in a different area of our lives, which we will talk about, of course, in the video for the supermoon. This full moon is uninhibited in the fiery independent sign of Aries. So it's by itself, unaspected by other things. And that's very much how Aries likes to be, uninhibited. So this is a time where our emotions, because it's a supermoon, are going to be amplified. Supermoons always bring some sort of emotional crisis, or they make our emotions feel overblown. And in Aries, because Aries is a cardinal sign, cardinal signs deal with crisis. They deal with the adrenals and adrenaline. They deal with that sympathetic nervous system overstimulation. And our emotions are going to be taking our nervous systems, I think, for a little bit of a ride, or our adrenaline, right? A little bit for a ride there. And so because of this is a time where our emotions will drive us to take what we want, whenever and however we want it, especially in the areas where we've been too passive, too receptive, or taking too much care not to disrupt the equilibrium or the status quo. So it's kind of like we get this surge, and it's like emotionally it feels like we just have to do it right now, or else the world will end, or else there will be no time, or else it'll never happen. And it's going to be like this rush to like do something, because emotionally inside, like subjectively, we feel like we have to in the moment. And this can be great if we've been too passive and like taking a back seat and not getting what we need, doing what we need to do, getting our way because maybe we actually need to get our way this time. But it can also be an aggressive energy. So if we want to, you want to be careful not to plow your way through to achieve your goals with absolutely no regard for others. There's definitely a need for balance at the time of this full moon. And you might find that you're on the receiving end of that too, and that might not feel so good. This full supermoon is going to have people feeling things very viscerally and very intensely, and taking very quick, impulsive actions on what we feel. And so you want to make sure, because supermoons are always tricky. They tend to bring out the emotional crisis, or bring about some sort of emotional crisis. And this is especially true in the cardinal signs. You want to be extra careful, because this combination could be a recipe for disaster if we're allowing our overinflated, in the moment feelings to kind of take us for a ride. And so this is one of those times when it's crucial to pause and take time to reflect on the situation logically and then respond rather than react to what's coming up internally and externally, because there could be external crises that come up at the time of this full supermoon as well. And so this is something we're going to talk about really in detail again in 2 weeks on September 23rd. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and also share this video with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from the information that I just provided to you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's so good to be back, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.